Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. If you're like me, you enjoy a good harem rom-com. Lots of ecchi, good waifus, great comedy. Sure, the plot is pretty simple, but you don't need a complicated plot to tell a great story. Ask Shakespeare. Before we get started, please like and subscribe for more content. There are dozens of harem rom-coms out there, and they come in a variety of quality. To me, the two biggest factors in determining how good a harem rom-com is are how organic do the characters develop, and how well written are the characters. I'm not talking realistic. This is anime after all. I want them to be ridiculous people that I'd never associate with in real life. But how interesting are the characters? Are they a cardboard cutout insert fetish character like in Rosario and Vampire or Two Love Room? Are they one-dimensional tryhards like in Asterisk War or Undefeated Bahamut Chronicle? Are they just regular nice boys like in Sekirei or We Never Learn? Good harem rom-coms have characters that are interesting, and I'm not talking just the potential waifus or husbandos. The waifus in Two Love Ru carry that anime. Same with We Never Learn. Both series would be improved if the main character had any personality whatsoever. All the main characters need to be interesting and well developed. Which brings me to the subject of today's video. A Couple of Cuckoos is a manga written by Yoshikawa Miki. That name should ring a bell because she's also the mangaka for one of the greatest supernatural harem mangas, Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches. Originally published as a one-shot, A Couple of Cuckoos was syndicated in Kodansha's Weekly Shonen magazine back in January 2020. Our story begins at birth, when our main character was accidentally swapped with another baby. For his entire 16-year-long life, Umino Nagi never really fit in with his family. His parents were delinquents, and a lot of that attitude has stayed with them. They settle their arguments with their fists. Even his little sister is outspoken, just like her parents. They are a rambunctious and fun-loving family. Nagi, on the other hand, is quiet, somber, and spends his time studying. But no matter how hard he tries, he always scores second behind his rival, Segawa Hiro. Nagi discovers a month or so ago that he was switched at birth. He's not really surprised. He looks nothing like his parents or his sister, and his attitude never really fit with the rest of his family. On the way to a meeting with his biological parents, he sees a girl about to jump off a bridge. He stops her, but it turns out she was just doing it as a prank for Instagram. Her name is Amano Erika, and she's upset with her parents for arranging her marriage. Sure, you can get married at 16 in Japan with your parents' permission, but who wants an arranged marriage in this day and age? It turns out that Erika is from an extremely wealthy family, as she goes to a prestigious and expensive girls' academy. Nagi, on the other hand, goes to a top-end prep school that is very difficult to get into. On top of that, he's second place in his grade. Erika bemoans the fact that she's on her way to a marriage meeting with her parents and the person she's supposed to marry. But wait, maybe you could be my boyfriend. Not for real, of course, just a pretend boyfriend. If I have a boyfriend, someone I'm totally in love with, who is very smart and has a bright future ahead of him, maybe my parents will drop the whole arranged marriage thing. Nagi doesn't have time for this, but Erika blackmails him. Apparently, when he saved her from jumping off the bridge, he landed on top of her with his hand on her breast. And Erika caught it all on video. The time Nagi wanted to spend studying at the library is instead spent on a fake date with Erika. She snaps some photos of the two of them, but being an Instagram star, she feels something is off, and that the photos can be improved. Erika is the daughter of a wealthy hotel tycoon, so she takes him shopping at some high-end retail stores for matching outfits. Nagi is shocked, but goes along with it. He does end up having a good time with her, until some of Erika's stalkers show up. They trash-talk Nagi and try to beat him up for being with the girl they're stalking, but they're no match for Nagi. He was raised by two delinquents after all. Soon after, her father's chauffeur shows up. Erika turns to him and says, "I wish you were the one I was marrying, Nagi-kun." Fans of rom-coms already know where this is heading. That night, Nagi shows up to the meeting at a fancy restaurant. His parents, both the couple who raised him and his biological parents, are waiting for him. The four of them explain that they don't want to ruin the relationships they've already established. After all, though they're not biologically related, they've each raised these children for 16 years as if they were their own. So rather than breaking up happy families and causing chaos, the parents all agreed that the best course of action would be to have the children marry. That way, you'd both become our real children. At that moment, the girl he was swapped with at birth, his new fiancée, shows up. And to no one's surprise but Nagi, it's Erika. The chapter doesn't end there, though. This is a harem rom-com after all, and it wouldn't be a harem if there were just two people. We find out that there are two other girls in Nagi's life. His little sister has always looked up to him and loved him, but didn't let those feelings develop because he's her brother after all. In fact, earlier in the chapter, she's crying at the thought of him leaving. But if they're not related by blood, that opens up other realms of possibility. On top of that, Nagi is actually in love with someone else, his rival, Segawa Hiro. A long time ago, Nagi asked Hiro what type of boys she likes. Hiro responded that she likes boys who are smarter than her. Which, to be fair, would be hard to find. She is the #1 student at a very prestigious prep school, after all. But Nagi is determined to finally beat her on a test so he can confess to her. All in all, A Couple of Cuckoos is phenomenal. Over-the-top characters, fun writing, great comedy, and good heartwarming scenes that will bring a tear to your eye. And as you've already seen, the artwork is simply top-notch. Every page is absolutely beautiful. But as I said at the beginning of this video, there are 2 qualifications for me to say that a harem rom-com is good: the quality of the characters and how organic are their relationships. With some harem rom-coms, the harem members all vying for the same guy barely acknowledge the existence of their rivals. However, in this one, the girls have a better day-to-day relationship with each other than with Nagi. After all, Erika just discovered that she has a little sister. Strange and ridiculous situations that force unusual characters to be together is a common enough trope in harem manga. And the idea that you were swapped at birth and your parents decide you should get married with their misplaced biological child is pretty unusual. But what makes it even weirder is that Mr. Amano, Nagi's biological dad, rents a house for Nagi and Erika to live in so they can get to know each other. This gives Sachi, the girl who thought she was Nagi's little sister but is actually Erika's, a place to run away to. That gives Erika and Sachi a good chance to bond, and sets up some moments that are tender, and others that are hilarious. To add even more complexity to the labyrinthine nature of their relationships, Nagi eventually tells Erika that he is in love with someone else, and the conditions he placed upon himself before he will confess his feelings. Erika, his fiancée, cheers him on and hopes he accomplishes his dreams. But part of her, just a tiny little part of her heart, is a little jealous. I also mentioned how I want interesting characters, which this series has in droves. A Couple of Cuckoos captures the essence of the nature versus nurture debate. Are people genetically predisposed to studying and hard work, or are their personalities shaped by their environment? A Couple of Cuckoos declares that it's both. Both your genes and your environment play a heavy role on the type of person you become. We see that in the first chapter with Nagi. Yes, he's a study nerd who cares about getting the best grades possible, but at the same time he was raised by 2 old-school delinquents. He follows his family motto: when someone picks a fight with you, be sure to win it. The story is simple, but a romance doesn't need to be complicated. The first 4 volumes of the manga are available on Bookwalker, and I highly recommend picking them up. Or you can wait for the anime, coming out sometime in 2022. Thanks for tuning in. I really adore this manga, and I think you will as well. If you want to read it now, there's a link to Bookwalker below. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. Please like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you all again next time.